Today's video is brought to you by Squarespace. So one of the most prevalent questions people have about Naruto is why did Minato seal half of Kurama in Naruto? And better yet, why did he seal the bad half? And this honestly is a really good question because we really only have one or two panels explaining the situation. And those panels only explain why half of Kurama is sealed into Naruto, not why the bad half was chosen. Because if you think about it, deciding to put the evil half of one of the strongest entities on Earth into your infant child is a bonkers decision, especially when you consider the fact that Minato not only had the choice, he also had the time. But what if I told you that Minato not only made the correct choice, but that he made it because of Killer Bee? So today, I'm going to explain to you why Minato wasn't able to put the entirety of Kurama into Naruto, and why he chose the bad half, specifically the yin half of Kurama, to place into Naruto. Before we get to explaining anything, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Before we get into all that, guys, today we gotta talk about our favorite reoccurring sponsor to the page, Squarespace. Squarespace is your one-stop shopping opportunity to build a website for your brand or business. And it doesn't matter what you're building this website for, Squarespace will still be your best friend. Because building a website with Squarespace is incredibly intuitive and easy, because Squarespace offers you an incredible amount of very useful and very easy tools that will help even a beginner build a website of their dreams. A website that'll allow you to both engage with your audience and sell your product. One of my favorite tools that Squarespace provides is Member Areas, a tool that allows you to place content behind a paywall, so only those who pay have access to it, which can create an entirely new revenue stream for content creators like myself. But since we're talking about content creators like myself, Squarespace also has a content creation video assistance tool that allows you to create, edit, and optimize incredibly beautiful and engaging videos on Squarespace. And your audience will appreciate how beautiful your website and your videos look. And you can track just how much your audience appreciates these things with the analytics tool provided by Squarespace. These analytics not only give you a look into how your website is doing, but also how to better improve your website, with tools that help you figure out where site visits or sales are coming from, and tips on how to turn those site visits into sales. And if you like what you see, go to squarespace.com/nchammer23 for 10% off your order. So as people who have either read or watched Naruto, I'm sure we've all pondered what would have happened if Naruto had received 100% of Kurama. Better yet, what would have happened if Naruto had received the yang half of Kurama? We've also wondered why Minato wouldn't simply just put Kurama back into Kushina, or since he was able to split Kurama in half, put half in Kushina and put half in Naruto. And these are all really good questions, because the answer isn't super straightforward. It was in chapter 503 of the manga that we got the best look into Minato sealing away Kurama on the night of Naruto's birth. On this night, we see that Minato decides to seal the rest of Kushina's chakra inside of Naruto using the 8 trigram seal. The 8 trigram seal is an Uzumaki Fuin jutsu. It's a 4-symbol seal that is used to seal a large entity inside of a person. However, should you use 2 4-symbol seals, you get the 8 trigram seal. Now, what's specific about Naruto's 8 trigram seal is the fact that the 2 4 symbols do not overlap. On the outside edges of Naruto's 8 trigram seal, there's a gap. And since there's a gap, this allows the entity that's been sealed into the human to have their chakra intermix with their host. However, should hypothetically both sides of this 8 trigram seal be closed, that wouldn't be possible. You see, Minato understood that Kushina was going to die. Once you have a tail beast extracted from you as a Jinchuriki, it basically signals your death. The only reason that Kushina didn't die immediately is because she was an Uzumaki and had an insane amount of life force. The question that a lot of people bring up is that Naruto was able to have Kurama sealed back into him after having Kurama pulled out of him, and that saved his life. So why couldn't Minato do this with Kurama and Kushina? While there's no technical concrete answer, the widely accepted explanation is that Kushina's 8 trigram seal was closed, meaning that Kushina and Kurama's chakra never intermixed, which makes sense when you consider the fact that Kushina almost definitely never used Kurama's chakra. As for both Kushina and Mito, it was more about taming Kurama and completely subjecting him to their will than using his power to become the child of prophecy. And thus, when Naruto had Kurama pulled out of him, because Kurama and Naruto's chakra had been intermingled for a long time, there was still Kurama's chakra residing inside of him, which acted as a sort of crutch until Naruto could get more of Kurama back inside of him. However, since this wasn't the situation for Kushina, having her bijou extracted was gonna kill her, which is why Minato elected to take the rest of her chakra and seal it inside of Naruto. And even if hypothetically Kushina would be able to re-receive Kurama, the transformation of having Kurama re-implanted back into her could have killed her, considering how damaged and how low her life force was at that current moment. Becoming a Jinchuriki is an incredibly taxing process, and if they had placed Kurama into Kushina only for Kushina to die, then Kurama simply would have reappeared somewhere else unsealed once again. So now that we've answered the question of why didn't Minato put Kurama back into Kushina, we should answer the question, why didn't Minato split half of Kurama's chakra into Kushina and Naruto? That way Kushina undergoes less of a transformation because she's only half of the Jinchuriki she was before, and Naruto gets the other half of the chakra. This way, even if Kushina does die from having Kurama re-implanted back into her, the Kurama that will appear is only half of Kurama. Unfortunately, this also wasn't an option. See, while Minato did learn the 8 trigram seal from Kushina and the rest of the Uzumakis, he didn't have a Fuin Jutsu strong enough to seal away the entirety of Kurama outside of Reaper Death Seal. Well, technically, even Reaper Death Seal wasn't enough to seal away the entirety of Kurama. See, Minato understood the restrictions of Reaper Death Seal, that being that you can only pull out as much soul as you have chakra in comparison to the person whose soul you're pulling out. That is to say, in the moment of Minato using Reaper Death Seal against Kurama, he had half the amount of chakra that Kurama had, and thus would only ever be able to pull out half of Kurama's soul. However, this was a necessity for Minato because he understood that Naruto would only be able to take half of Kurama, being an infant. And Minato understood that there was only one way that he could split Kurama into 2, which was the Reaper Death Seal. Because Minato understood that once he got a hold of Kurama's soul, he would be able to split it into the yin and yang halves. Which means that in the scenario that Minato wanted to put at least half of Kurama into Naruto, he would have to seal the other half of Kurama using the Reaper Death Seal. Otherwise, he would have had to use the 8 trigram seal to put the entirety of Kurama into Naruto, which would have killed him, or the entirety of Kurama into Kushina, which probably would have killed her.
Okay, Nick, why didn't he just put Kurama in himself then?
That's very hard to do, bordering on impossible. Becoming a Jinchuriki is an incredibly painful, tedious, and complicated process, which takes as much energy from the person the tailed beast is being sealed into as from the person who's sealing the tailed beast. To seal the strongest tailed beast on Earth in its entirety into you is a crazy ask. So genuinely, as Minato was standing there staring down Kurama, who was said to be stronger than all the other tailed beasts combined, he had his dying wife, who he couldn't seal Kurama back into, he had himself, who he had no chance of sealing Kurama into, and a baby. So Minato had to make the decision to seal half of Kurama away forever, as he stated, and placing the other half of Kurama into his child. Minato was also spurred on by something that Jiraiya had told him. See, when Jiraiya was a younger man, he went to the great Toad Sage, a toad who's been around for thousands of years, a toad who taught Hagoromo Toad Sage Mode. And over those thousands of years, as the toad has aged, he's become more of a sage. So much so that he's able to tell the future with 100% accuracy, though his predictions are a little vague. And this great Toad Sage told Jiraiya that he would be the teacher to the child of prophecy that would either lead the world into flames or save it from them. For numerous years, Jiraiya had thought that Minato was the child of prophecy. Well, first he thought Nagato was the child of prophecy, and then he thought Minato was the child of prophecy, and eventually he got to Naruto. But listen, batting 33% is Hall of Fame numbers in the MLB. But since Jiraiya had thought that Minato was the child of prophecy because of all the things he was picking up so quickly and his battle prowess, and also obviously his very cheery demeanor that made him a natural leader, he told Minato about the prophecy, and specifically about how Jiraiya thought that Minato might be the child of prophecy, born to pull the world from the ashes. However, as Minato stared down Kurama, he realized that he himself was not the child of prophecy. You see, in that moment, Minato understood he needed to die and that the child of prophecy wouldn't die before they saved the world. And thus, as he stared down at his child, he realized Naruto was the child of prophecy. By the way, I know earlier I said Naruto had the yin part of Kurama sealed into him as child, but it was actually the yang part, because the yang part's the evil part and the yin part's the good part. Not perfect! And thus Minato figured that Naruto would be able to use Kurama's chakra to become the child of prophecy. That Naruto, with the combined strength of Kurama, would be able to pull the world from the ashes. And that even half of Kurama would be more than enough to accomplish this feat. This is why Naruto's 8 trigram seal is the way that it is, with the 2 individual force symbols not touching. Minato wanted Kurama's chakra to seep into Naruto's body, because Minato believed that only in combination would they ever achieve the power necessary to truly become the child of prophecy. But here's the thing. If Minato had sealed the entirety of Kurama into Naruto, this leak of chakra from the seal would have killed Naruto by the time he turned 8 years old. It was only because there was only half of Kurama in Naruto that his body could deal with this seepage of chakra. And it's a miracle he was even able to deal with that. Because the way that this 8 trigram seal works when it's open is that it does allow you to pull chakra from your tailed beast. But the more chakra you pull from your tailed beast, technically the looser that seal gets. And should you ever use too much chakra from your tailed beast can escape. So knowing the risks of this, why would Minato put the evil half of Kurama into his infant son? Well, unfortunately, approaching this question, looking at the halves of Kurama as good and evil, is the wrong way to approach it. And this is why the narrative around this decision has got so gunked up. You see, it's not about good and evil when you're talking about the halves of Kurama. It's yin and yang, and there's nothing inherently evil about either yin or yang chakra. And in fact, we have definitions for both yin and yang chakra within the confines of Naruto. Yang chakra refers to the manipulation of physical matter using chakra. Things like the Akamishi's partial expansion jutsu, how they're able to increase the size of their bodies using chakra, meaning that yang chakra usually pertains to stamina and physical matter, while yin chakra usually pertains to imagination. Yin chakra is the manipulation of non-real things, or at least non-physical things. Things like the Nara clan's shadow jutsu and genjutsu are both great examples of yin chakra, specifically yin jutsu. So when we approach the decision to split Kurama and seal one half inside of Naruto as good and evil, the decision doesn't make any sense. But when we approach the situation in the same way that Minato probably would have approached the situation, with a full head of knowledge on how yin and yang chakra work, we would understand that Minato didn't split Kurama in half and give Naruto the evil side. He gave him the yang side, the side more associated with having a physical form, the side associated with stamina and strength. If you were to hope that your child, which you were sealing a power away into, would access this power and use it for their own strength, and you assumed that that child would be anything like you or his mother, who are both very physical type attackers except for Kushina's adamantite chains, you would give that child the physical boost, since the yang side of Kurama would most likely be able to meld with Naruto's chakra better. To put it in super layman terms here, putting the yin side of Kurama inside of Naruto's body would be like leveling intelligence, while putting the yang side of Kurama into Naruto's body would be like leveling strength. Since neither Minato or Kushina were particular genjutsu masters, it makes sense on Minato's part to assume that his son won't be either. And thus, if a power-up can be given that will directly correlate to Naruto's strength in the field he's probably most likely comfortable fighting in, that should be the power-up chosen. But let's assume for 2 seconds that Minato did understand what he was doing. Minato understood that the yin half of Kurama would be the nice half and the yang half would be evil, since the yang half would be a more physical representation of Kurama as a whole, which is a daunting, terrifying demon fox used by Madara one time a long time ago to try to destroy Konoha, and currently on a rampage trying to do the same thing once again, while the yin half might be a deeper internalized version of Kurama that actually doesn't hate humans as much as it outwardly shows. This isn't the craziest assumption of all time. The outward physical appearance of Kurama is evil, while his inner self isn't. To assume that Minato maybe understood this isn't the craziest thing of all time. And if Minato did understand this in that one circumstance, why would he then choose to put the evil side of Kurama into his infant? Well, that might have to do with Killer Bee. You see, we're all aware that Minato was a war hero of the Third Great Shinobi World War, a war where Konoha found itself pitted up against every other single major hidden ninja village. And in this war, Minato and his team come toe-to-toe against A, the future 4th Raikage, and Killer Bee. And in this battle, Minato battles against A and Killer Bee by himself, remarking to A about how he has a great family, referring to Killer Bee, and seeing from Killer Bee, who tries to catch Minato with one of Gyuki's tentacles, that Killer Bee is able to use a partial transformation of Gyuki, implying that Killer Bee has found a full mastery of his Jinchuriki level with Gyuki, which is not to be undersold. Gyuki canonically is probably the hardest tailed beast to be a Jinchuriki of. The Hidden Cloud for generations could not find a Jinchuriki that was able to fully control him. Most notably, Blue Bee would have Gyuki rage out of him almost constantly. In fact, the 3rd and 4th Raikages had to make an entire division of ninjas in order to battle against Gyuki whenever this happened. But Killer Bee had found harmony with Gyuki, and Minato had not only seen this, he had commented on it, complimenting Killer Bee for his battle prowess, telling him he has the moves of a true shinobi killer, and saying that even though he's his enemy, he likes Killer Bee. In this moment, Minato saw that any tailed beast can be mastered and even worked with, and even though he didn't know it in the moment, that would affect him much further down the line. You see, it was Minato's experience fighting against Killer Bee and seeing the odds that he had conquered that made him realize, even if he did know that the Yang half he was sealing into Naruto was evil, that Naruto would be able to overcome it. And not only could Naruto overcome it, he could become one with Kurama and use that power for good, so long as he had people around him that could guide him. A lesson he told to A, specifically telling him to look at Killer Bee and find out what Killer Bee truly wants. Otherwise, their family might fall apart. See, Minato deciding to seal half of Kurama within Naruto was not a ones and zeros decision. It was a decision made by using years of experience and running through multiple different scenarios, trying to find what would be best for both the village and his family. And it was never about good and evil. It was about yin and yang. So Minato didn't make the wrong decision or even a weird decision. He made a decision based on faith that his child would become the child of prophecy, and that his child would gain the level of bond with his tailed beast as a man he once met from the hidden cloud. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think Minato made the right decision? Do you think there was another decision he could have made? Tell me in the comments below. And while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. Am I biased because Minato is my favorite character in Naruto? Maybe, but I'm also very well informed, so I think it balances out.